Hey guys, how's it going? Cartoon Carl here, back again with another tutorial. How we all do. Alright. So, I say tutorial. Well, not really. The game was already pretty much optimized by the creator of Dolphin VR. So basically all you gotta do is copy these settings. Alright? Right click on the game. Go to properties. Okay, now look at these two tabs. Yeah, just make sure you select what I've selected, and you'll get the optimizations. That's it. Alright, see y'all in game.
What's up, Lil? Yeah. And living there talking head. Coming to you live with Daigo, VRified Games. How we doing, Daigo?
Hey Ed, how's it going?
Shit, homie, I'm alright. So, tell me, what we doing today, my man?
Well Ed, today we're diving back into Dolphin VR.
Oh, yay.
Come on Ed, don't be like that. Back in its heyday, during its development cycle, Dolphin VR was the killer app for VR. Now I'm talking DK1, DK2, First Vive. During those days, you had Dolphin VR, you had Vario Perception, and you had Vorpex in its early days. Those were the killer apps, because there were no games, essentially.
Huh?
Yeah. And throughout its life cycle, it had frequent updates, frequent game optimizations, and it was fantastic. Now, unfortunately, come 2016, there was some infighting between the main Dolphin developers and 2iGuy, the developer of Dolphin VR branch. Now, apparently, 2iGuy had used some piece of software which broke some licensing agreement, which would have put the entire Dolphin emulator in jeopardy, and they may have had to remove the entire thing. Now, 2iGuy, aka Carl Kenner, was adamant that he had not broken any licensing agreement, that he was well within his rights to use the software that he was using in order to get VR implemented. Yeah, now, the Dolphin guys didn't seem to agree or see it that way. They were adamant that he was breaking the licensing agreement, and so they had asked him to cease, to stop, basically. Now, unfortunately, they couldn't come to an amicable agreement, and infighting became very, very serious between the two parties. Yeah, it all came to a head one day, and long story short, 2iGuy was essentially forced to abandon his Dolphin VR project, which is an absolute shame. Absolute shame. But at the same time, kind of understandable from Dolphin's viewpoint. Now, why do I say it was an absolute shame? Well, because 2iGuy himself was in the process of optimizing certain games to get them running really, really well up in VR. But what he had done was amazing. He had worked on the original Metroid Prime, and it was almost native VR, and he was working on other projects when he had had enough, or I don't know what happened behind the scenes. It got too much for him anyway, and he essentially abandoned it. Disappeared off the internet. No sign of him. Every now and again he'll reappear and say, okay, I might look at working on it again, and he'll disappear again. But in any case, it's been 6+ years now, and there has been no update to Dolphin VR.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that brings me back to what we're looking at today, which is optimized games that he had developed himself. Game profiles that he had tweaked, settings that he had put in place, and little modifications. Now, what we're looking at today is, again, one of his optimized games, that being Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for the GameCube. Now, what he had done, he had put a lot of time and effort into developing culling codes, getting the world scale, 3D strength, all of that just right to where it feels almost native, and it does feel almost native VR. And he even went ahead and implemented a first-person camera within the game. And that's what we're going to showcase today. Because I've seen a few playthroughs of Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, both with Dolphin and with Dolphin VR, but I have not seen anyone try the first-person perspective. So I thought, okay, this is something the original developer of Dolphin worked on. It's kind of a shame that no one talks about it. Because it does deserve praise. Whatever his political views, or whatever your opinion on 2iGuy are, his work speaks for itself. And his work is fantastic. It is something I will always champion. So yeah, that brings us to Legend of Zelda Wind Waker in first person, in VR, with Dolphin VR, optimized by 2iGuy. Now, I highly doubt that Legend of Zelda, Link, Ganondorf, all these characters need any sort of introduction, but just in case, Legend of Zelda is a long-running series. It spans from the original NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, 3DS, DS, Nintendo 64, Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Wii U, Switch. It's been on every iteration of Nintendo's consoles, way back to the Famicom/NES days. There's two theories surrounding Legend of Zelda. One being that each new title, unless there are direct sequels such as Majora's Mask to Ocarina of Time, or Tears of the Kingdom to Breath of the Wild, that they are all basically soft reboots. Each new entry is a soft reboot. And yep, that makes sense. They all seem to share a very similar plot involving Link rescuing Princess Zelda from an iteration of Ganondorf and saving the world of Hyrule. They all seem to follow that basic premise. Now, the other theory, which I like, is that yes, every game within the Legend of Zelda series is canon, has taken place, but that each new iteration, not being a direct sequel, is basically reincarnations of Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, and they have to repeat the same battle throughout history to fulfill some sort of destiny, basically. And that each new iteration, Ganondorf tries to win the battle. Each new iteration, this new version of Link will come along and try to stop him, and that's basically what Legend of Zelda is. Wind Waker seems to take place after the Nintendo 64 version, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, simply because of certain references within the game to that previous game, such as referring to Link as the hero of time, which I believe he was not called until the Nintendo 64 version. Now, I could be completely wrong and they're referring to the NES titles or the SNES titles. That's how it appears to me, at least. Now, what differentiates Wind Waker from other titles in the series? Well, it was the first to feature cel-shaded graphics, which gives it a kind of a cartoony look, which again translates great into VR. But what this also does is cuts down on processing power. It looks great, and it takes less processing power to do, so it was a no-brainer on the GameCube that they switched from polygons to cel shading. Another neat feature, which is unique to Wind Waker, is the fact that you can now sail. That hasn't been done since, it has not been done before, but this version of Link is a sailor. He's an island dweller, and yeah. Now each game in the series has some gimmick, like Twilight Princess, he changes into a wolf. Skyward Sword, he lives in the sky, basically. Breath of the Wild seems to be the first iteration of Link, could be wrong. So they all have something that sets them apart. Now, when Wind Waker first came out, it was met with a lot of skepticism because people didn't like the change in direction from polygons to cel shading. They felt it was a step back. Now, looking back, that seems a little ridiculous, but cel shading was very new at the time, and people were skeptical of it. It's like, why are you putting a cartoony look here? After the N64 version, we want something better. We want something more in line with that, but more developed because the GameCube is more powerful than the Nintendo 64. Why are you giving us these visuals? But once it released, it was quickly evident that, yeah, this new art direction, this new art style suited the game perfectly, it played amazingly, and the title of Wind Waker is still celebrated today. It's had many re-releases, it had a HD version on the Wii U, and it continues to be celebrated to this day. Beyond that, Wind Waker does kind of follow the same basic plot as all the other Legend of Zelda games, wherein Link will have to go and rescue Princess Zelda and stop Ganondorf. Yeah. That plot element never seems to change. But it is what it is. People still come back, people still play it, and people still love it, myself included. So, okay. Take a look at this, you guys. Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker, in first person, in VR, optimized for Dolphin VR by its creator, 2iGuy. Okay. Whew, that was a mouthful. Okay, so like, comment, subscribe. If you have any thoughts, queries, any questions, put them down below. I'll get back to you as soon as we can. If there are any games you'd like us to look at VRifying, again, put them down below and we'll get back to you probably. Yeah, VRified Games out.
Yeah, VRified Games, adding notches on your belt as you keep playing games and sitting on your ass on the couch and eating and everything. Shit, man, get up and do some jumping jacks, you fat motherfucker.
はい。
Oi! Mm.